right, Jerry Mace, the Kickin lawyer, and we're here for another law talk. I appreciate you guys taking time out of your day to watch and listen to us. As always, if you haven't, please don't forget to like and follow the content. Our podcast is available on all social media platforms as well as YouTube, Facebook, Spotify, etc. We're also on TikTok. Anywhere you look up Kickin Lawyer, you can see me. Again, I always say that you can go see us on TikTok and see Josh do the dances. It's his favorite part.
It's not accurate. I don't do that.
And then NA the band is a local band. My son happens to be in it. They have an album out. It's available for free right now. It's called Inside My Head. So please like and follow those guys and download the album. Michelle Allen is a local Cry-Like realtor. She's a longtime sponsor of the show. So if you get a chance, holler at her if you're looking to buy, sell, rent, lease real estate. She's a good community leader, and we want to support her. And then Mason's High Octane Martial Arts. My martial arts schools have been in Covington for 30 years, and we just opened a second location in Millington, Tennessee. You can visit masonsmartialarts.com for more information. And then soon I'm opening Jam Books and Records on the square in Covington. It'll have new and used, vintage and new books and records. So you can come check us out. That should be open in the next couple of weeks. And then if you're trying to get drone footage, commercials, emails, website design, Josh will help you. Just visit Masonite Digital Marketing, masonitemarketing.com. And joining me today is, she just got drafted into this, is Miss Sylvia. How do you say your last name?
Pineiros is in Spanish, but in English, most people call it Pineiros.
Pineiros. Okay. Yeah, I was going to butcher it either way.
That's okay.
And she and I have talked a couple of times before because she's fluent. She's bilingual in Spanish and English. And anything else?
I know a little bit of French and a couple of words in Hebrew. That's all.
Okay. Well, I know nothing except I know a little Spanglish. But I had talked with her because I'm real interested in being able to serve all the people we can in the community, including our Hispanic citizens. And so she was going to come and maybe do some training with our staff and myself on the Spanish language. And then she's worked as a paralegal. She's got a lot of diverse experience and now is working for a Hispanic radio station that's new in Memphis. So why don't you do that? Why don't you tell us, like, where you from, what your passion is, because I know you've got a ministry passion also, and just sort of tell us some things about you.
Well, thank you. Thank you for bringing me here.
Sure.
I was not expecting this today, but hey, the Lord has better plans than we do.
Yeah.
So here I am. Well, I'm from Ecuador, Quito, Ecuador, South America, the capital city of Ecuador. And that's far away, too far away for me right now. But I came here 12 years ago, I cannot believe it, with my daughter to open actually a Hispanic ministry that ended up not happening. I feel like Tipton County was not ready for the Hispanic ministry at that time, so we kind of fought for a couple of years trying to open a Hispanic ministry, and doors would not open. So after that, I did a single moms ministry, so I just started doing ministry, and then for the past 3 years, I've been working for the law. I have been doing some paralegal work for a firm in Memphis, and then besides that, I've been able to see the Hispanic community and just every day see their struggles and their needs and how much they need support from Americans and from other Hispanics that know or that they have walked before them, here in this country, because it's super hard for them being far away, without the language, without family. So that's kind of where my heart is. And recently I was approached by a Christian radio, the only Christian radio station in Spanish in Memphis and I think Jackson area, and they needed someone to kind of like be both sides, the Hispanic and the English. They only do Spanish, but they're trying to open more for the English community, because there's a lot of like second generations of children that are forgetting, unfortunately, the language. So we need to approach those people. So that's how I end up here today, just trying to see if you would be interested in doing something for the radio. I also do I also translate for people. I translate documents and I translate verbally. So that's what I do. That's
and I told you I was interested in maybe some of the translation services, because I think what we discussed, I think would be good for our clients is to have our documents in Spanish, so when they come in, they're clear, even if I can't interpret it. They can read the documents. And I mean, I think in this area there are other lawyers and professionals that could probably use that kind of service too. Let me ask you this though, because do you live here in Covington?
I live in Munford.
Munford. Okay, so in Tipton County, because I just don't know. Do you know what the Hispanic population is now?
No, not by a number, but I know it's growing, and I have been able to get with a lot of people. A lot of Hispanic people know me here in Tipton County, so it's growing. It's growing amazingly, and we see it in restaurants. That's what I say. I know I'm Ecuadorian, but I should open a Hispanic a Mexican restaurant, because Americans, all they want to eat is Mexican every
That's what
day,
I had for
all
lunch.
day.
I had lunch, it was Mexican.
Exactly.
Yeah, I actually ate Jose's up here. Don't tell the other Jose, but I try to spread the love, right?
Yes.
Yeah, well, it does seem there are a lot of Mexican restaurants. I don't know how authentic the Mexican food is. Have you been to Jose's up here?
So. Yes, I have.
Because I think theirs is closer. Theirs
is
pretty.
That's what everybody says. Like that one is the closest to something. But I have enjoyed the Algebrijes, I think it's called. I think it's Armando, his name, in front of like the Atoka movie theater.
Okay. Yeah, I do know which one you're talking about.
They have a bunch of like their desserts and stuff. Yeah, they're really good. And
well, not to change the topic on it, I'm just curious. So what would be the difference between like Mexican food and Ecuadorian food?
So much. Thank you for asking, because a lot of people, like, as soon as, they meet me, they're like, oh, I bet you love like tortillas and you like spicy food. We don't spicy. Our food is like rice. We eat rice every day with our meals and soups, and so it's completely different. We never had any, I don't even know chilies, like what's the different type of chilies that you use for stuff like that. So yeah, it's completely different.
Well, I'm sure you're aware now that you've been here 12 years, and this is something that I struggle with as an American. Now, I got blessed when I was younger. I was on the U.S. Taekwondo team for several years, and I got to travel to Asia a lot.
Oh, cool.
I even been to North Korea. I went to South Korea, China, North Korea. And then I got to travel around the U.S. a lot, too. And what was interesting to me after those travels is prior to those travels, Americans think they're pretty much the center of the world. Like they are. Americans are very arrogant. They think that, oh, well, everybody else must know about us. And then if you're Hispanic, they're like, you're Mexican.
And you have no idea how. I bet my friends that they would see this, they'll be like, oh, no, that's like in my heart. Every Hispanic would tell you, like, please don't do that to yourself. Americans, you're looking like you're very ignorant.
No,
like
you're right.
Calling a person Mexican, because like there's so much more. Like, let's say Ecuador, it's in a different continent, not only a different country, but a different continent. So it's like we are so different. And I love Mexicans, but we're so different. Like, it's like I cannot.
Well, it's not a knock on you guys at all. It's Americans, and I wish that. But part of what makes America, I think, a great nation, and in my opinion, the greatest nation, and then again, I'm probably biased, but part of why I feel that way, I think it's the freedoms that we have that lead to some ignorance sometimes are also the freedoms of why we are a great nation. So I'm not saying that it makes it okay, but I mean, I get why some people are like, well, it was so funny when I would travel because, especially with Asians, they were most of the time, the Asian people were very reserved, very quiet, very respectful. When you're on the plane, they're quiet, they stay to themselves. And then the Americans are laughing and loud and drinking, and it was always clear. You could tell who an American was when I was abroad by the way they acted. Their demeanor was just different. But I think that also leads to, again, or borderline arrogance, and which leads to the ignorance on they just don't think about it. Like, you're Hispanic, so you got to be Mexican, or you know what I mean?
Yeah, and we gotta start changing that. I feel like, because
I agree.
It doesn't mean that if you look a little bit like in the browner color, or if you immediately think, it's better to ask a person like, which country are you from, instead of just assuming that they're Mexicans. And
I think I've been guilty of that some too, so I appreciate you saying that. I personally am very curious about all cultures, and I wish I could travel more. Um, there's so much you can learn from people, and I think it can help you appreciate things too here.
Yeah.
Especially, I've been to China a few times, and there were some areas over there, well, South Korea too, that had a lot of poverty.
Yeah.
And it's poverty on a level that Americans can't even comprehend, I think. And so I just think it gives you a different perspective when you're open to other cultures.
Yeah, I teach. One of the things I do is I teach homeschoolers, and one of my main things is like we learn the language around themes and around countries because we want to explore. I want to like make them learn different cultures, different things with a different language. So you get to teach. I get to teach my homeschoolers all the time and tell them, there's more. There's more behind America. I love America. I'm thankful for being able to be the blessing to have a grandkid here, a daughter here. I'm thankful for America, but there's so much more. We can get so rich with knowing other cultures. So yeah.
Do you ever go back and visit Ecuador?
Yeah, I hope I can go. It will be my prayer that I can go this next year. So I'm hoping to be able to be there next year. So yeah.
How long a flight is that?
It's probably 7 hours. It's not a long
that's not that
flight.
bad. Yeah.
It's just you have to connect into flights.
I was going to say, is that flying out of, what are you flying out of?
Houston.
Houston?
You can fly out of Miami, but Miami is so complicated. And so we try to fly out of Houston. So yeah, you should come. Yeah, I have Buffy Cook, Dr. Buffy Cook. He has taken some groups, missionary groups.
Yeah, I'd love to go down there. Is Ecuador, what was I going to say about, so is it a democracy government? What is the setup of the government structure in Ecuador?
That's a tricky subject because we just had our elections. We are one of the only ones that do not have socialism as a president, and we were almost super close to get a socialist. But they don't say they're socialist, but they are at the end, like kind of like Venezuela ended up becoming Maduro.
Well, we have some American politicians that are like that.
Yes,
they don't say they're socialists, but they are.
And we think socialism is about helping people, and I'm a missionary, so I'm all about helping people. But also, I'm all about teaching people how to fend for themselves, enabling them to have resources in order for them to be able to have stuff. So yeah, socialism is a tricky subject because as I always say to everybody, you don't know what you're wanting, because please go to other countries and go and see what true socialism has done to countries like to Cuba, to Venezuela, to so many countries that are broken because of that. There's a good thing about socialism, but it has not worked for presidents. That to say that, fortunately right now we have a country that every 2 years seems like we have a different president, and so that's a tough one.
Yeah. So, and again, I'm not going to go down the political hole there so much. I am always curious, though, about people that aren't native to here, their perception of our politicians and stuff. I know the general perception of Americans is that we're all fat and arrogant, and that's true. A lot of us are. No, but I mean, I've traveled enough to know the
statistically
some of the stereotypical American. Some of it's probably accurate, but anyway, that neither here nor there. What I'm getting at is like, back especially when Trump was president. Whether you pro or con Trump, I always found it interesting how foreigners, non-Americans, viewed Trump, like what they thought about like our president. And so if you've been here 12 years, that means you came in right around then, right, with him. So and you don't have to comment on it if you don't want, but I'm just curious, and it didn't even have to be Trump, but even Biden. But what's kind of your perspective on American, like, politics, government? What's your view on the American presidents?
Yeah, I would rather say no comment, but I guess I always have a comment, just because I have learned how much damage politics have done to my country. Like, families don't talk with each other at all, because if one is pro one party and the other one is pro another party, and so that's the way that I feel. I think that both presidents are humans, and both have good things and bad things, and some have awful things, and I'm true to that. I'm true to knowing that, you know, if Biden is the president right now, that's who we biblically need to respect, and that's who we pray for. I wish you guys would have more than two parties to
Yeah,
have,
I agree with you.
Yeah, so do we.
yes, to have some other people that can come with new ideas and new things. Please don't go to the extreme like my country. I think we have 15 to 20 parties, and that just makes a whole chaos, because everybody votes 3 votes here, 3 votes there. But I feel like there's a need for like middle ground, kind of like in everything, because it seems like here everybody's starting to be more politically like in my country. No, if you don't believe that Trump is the best, then you're not my friend. If you don't believe that Biden is the best, then you are not my friend.
Well, I think that the reality is most of us are in the middle. I believe, I really believe that. I think that what we see on the media is pushing an agenda of extremism, either right or left wing. And the majority of us are very much in the middle. I think most of us are socially very liberal. And I think a lot of us are probably fiscally conservative. I think that it's just we're posed against each other, and then some people are easily swayed to get infuriated and get mad about it. One thing, though, that is interesting with America, and I do think this is an advantage that we've had over other nations, is capitalism, especially in our form of government. Capitalism benefits from a stable government. When the government's unstable, then it's hard for capitalism to flourish, because next thing you know, you got a government that's taking your stuff, you got this, that, the policies change, the tax laws are so different. Because it's so hard in Americans, especially the federal government, to get anything changed, to get bipartisan support on anything and get it to change, it actually creates a lot of stability. So, I mean, it's not perfect by any means, and I agree with you. I think the two-party system is broken. And I think more than that, though, why... Look, whether you like Trump or not, on the Republican side, is he really the best guy we could pick? Is that the best that we could pick?
Exactly.
And then on Biden, he doesn't know what day it is. And this is the best guy we can pick on the other side? You know, what about, there's so many good candidates out there that aren't 90 years old, you know, and would move the country in a good middle ground, and other people would support, you know. I always liked Tulsi Gabbard. She was the Democratic candidate last election. She's from Hawaii, so she's a minority. She served in the military. She had very middle ground policies. She was like I said, a servicewoman. I think she had a lot of stuff going for her. But, you know, she's too good a candidate. She wasn't extreme one way or the other. So I think there's a lot that we could learn. But, you know, part of why America has done so well and that capitalism flourishes here, I think, is because we do have a stable government, and the stubbornness on both sides, I think, helps that. So I don't know. There's not a perfect answer, but it's just always interesting to me how non people that aren't native to here would view our government, especially the presidents, because, you know.
And that's what coming here changed my view, because I was very like talking about immigration, which is like, that's like a whole ball game, like a whole big thing. But you know, I was like, no, everybody has to do things right, and I'm all for doing things right and stuff. But then you get to talk with these people, and you're like, what? Your life was how? An immigration system is so broken. You know, the law system, the medical system, the educational system is so broken. There's so many loopholes, and there's so many things that have to happen in order for people to be able to achieve those things, that I think that's kind of like my bad part of like the government here. You know, they could do so, because it's not okay that, like, speaking about immigration, that people have to wait 10 years in order to be able to change.
Well, do you think, and I'm just asking because I don't know, and I'm a lawyer, so I always play multiple sides, right? Do you think, though, that some of that red tape may have been increased because of how many people were trying to come illegally? You know what I mean? Like they had
I
to.
don't think so, because we're talking about 20 years ago that we have had the same system, and that we have had people trying to get here, and those people, the people that have been here for so long, have not been able to do their documents because they're waiting 7 years, 8 years, because that's the wait period that they have to do in order to become something. In order for a person to become a citizen, they have to be 5 years resident, and then another 5 years in order for them to have in 10 years to be able to become citizens. So it's not like one day you get here, you sign a paper, you do everything right, and if you see the amount of documents you need to send to immigration, you'll be like, okay, what? They also they ask you all these things. So it's a long process, and we are behind 5 to 7 years of people that have filed by now. So I don't think it has to do with now people coming. This is a problem that if there was fixed 5 years ago or 7 years ago or 10 years ago.
My point was, though, there's always been an illegal immigration issue. I won't even say problem, because it's all perspective. And you know, most Americans, well, I don't know that I can speak for most Americans. I can speak for myself.
Okay.
I don't have a problem with most Hispanics that are coming this way, you know, or immigrants, I should say. They're not all Hispanic. But I'll be honest, too, there's a genuine concern amongst citizens for, if you're not policing the borders and making sure people are coming across legally, what about the, you know, and I get it's a small percentage, but, you know, there's a lot of people from terrorist countries that are coming through. And that's a genuine concern. You know, they've caught several recently, and I'm sure some of that's propaganda and some, but the fact is, if it's open, it's possible. And there are definitely countries that wish ill on us. And if they could get here that way, that's the way they'll come. And so I don't know what the happy medium is, but that is a genuine concern. The concern with most American citizens, I don't think, is that the family that is struggling and just wants a better life comes here. It's that, how do you split the difference there, you know? You got to catch folks at the border. Okay, we let some in, but some people are a threat.
They only not come through the border. The border is not the only way that they're coming. Like, you mean by walking and passing and all.
Yeah, well, or
things.
any way. Even the Canadian border, same thing. So either all the way around. A lot of people don't know this, that China has a lot of they bought a lot of Canadian property, and China, who's clearly a opponent of ours right now, has standing soldiers right across our border in Canada. Just walk across the forest there, and they're here. So I mean, there's threats all around. I just mean that realistically, I'm, and this is something I would love to talk with you more when we have more time, maybe, because I think you have more insight than I do into it. But personally, I've never been for an open border, you know, because of that risk.
And me neither. And that's why I told you, as soon as I came here, I was like super against, like, let's build the wall, let's do this, let's close it, let's just throw the key and don't let them in. And I was like that, and the Lord has had to break me and explain me so many things. I'm super pro about doing things right if there is a possibility, because sometimes I feel like we are not letting them have the possibility to do things right. It's unachievable, it's unaffordable, and it takes a long time. But
I see what you're saying. You're saying, okay, I would agree with you then. You're not saying that they shouldn't follow the procedure.
Oh, no,
what you're saying
do.
is the procedure is unreasonable and you can't comply with it.
Yes.
So then you're forced to break the law.
Exactly. And you know, I have seen from my country how bringing a lot of, because Venezuela, because of the socialism, people from Venezuela had to fly to Ecuador. And we have so much immigrants that it's breaking our country, because people from Venezuela come to Ecuador, and because we have the dollar as our currency, they can do with dollars a lot. So they come and they cut the hairs outside in the street, and they charge $1 per haircut. And then so our Ecuadorian people don't have jobs because all the Venezuelans are doing it basically for free, so they're breaking it. So that for for that reason, I'm saying I'm super pro. Let's try to do it in the right way. Let's try to fix our immigration times, immigration lines, and all those things in order to help people and give people, explain people how do you do this. And that's why I'm so I want to have a ministry where I can help them. I want to help you do things right. I want to help you get to the right lawyer, get to the right immigration. What's the immigration process that you need to do in order for you to be here? We have to be careful about the people that are coming and crossing to break the country, because as me, as a person from a different country living in this country, I don't want any person from a crazy view to come to the States and break my house and break in my house. So I'm pro all those things.
Interesting. Yeah, that makes sense. Once I realized what you were saying, I would agree with you on that. And I don't know that I don't do immigration law, like I told you, so I don't really know all the policies and stuff on how long it takes. And I would think that most Americans think like I do, in that, well, you apply and you get in, and and it's clear.
It will be amazing.
It's clearly not like that.
No, it's not. It's time. It's money. I'm poor because of that. But that's okay.
Well, maybe we can help you out. If people wanted to get your services for translation or information on the radio station, how do they get a hold of you?
Oh, my phone number is 901-687-9680. But I also, you can find me on the radio, which is Buenas Nuevas. It's 105.5. And there's someone that likes to learn the language, just turn on the radio, and you will hear it every day, and it might help you. Yeah, you should just listen to.
Well, I told
worship.
I do Duolingo every day.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm not fluent.
Now you gotta put the radio on and just kind of
just
like
listen
to worship music or something. Yeah.
Nice. Well, I'll do that, and we'll figure out something else on this other stuff too. But I'm definitely going to use you some for the translation services. And I do like the idea of bringing you in. I don't know if twice a month would be enough to do it, but seeing if we could get some lessons scheduled to get my staff and myself, a little more knowledgeable on the Spanish language.
I'm here for that. And if someone wants some Spanish lessons, then I can do that too.
Nice. Well, I'm interested in, maybe we'll get you back again. I'd like to talk more about the politics. So
my favorite subject.
Okay, I like it. I just have few, you would think, sometimes I think people think they're going to have different views than other people. And what I have found is when you sit across from somebody and you really get to talking and you're open to their position and not trying to argue they're wrong, but just trying to understand it, that you can often learn you really weren't far apart on it, and but even not, if you're open and listen, you may learn something. And I think you can only do that through, discussion like that, on whether it's on immigration or otherwise. And other people's perspectives are important too. I'm very aware that I have a limited perspective on a lot of things.
It is important to be able to listen more than we speak. That's why God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth, to listen more and speak less. And I feel like that's the way that we have to be with politics. Nobody's married to the president to know how he is as a person, and and the other party as well. So I really like to be kind of like, okay, I just try to stay away. But yeah, it's been fun talking to you about it.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you taking the time to talk with us today, Sylvia.
Thank you.
You guys check her out, and I thank you too for watching us and listening today. As always, you can like, follow, and subscribe to the content. We're on all social media platforms, Spotify, etc. And please do that. We don't make money, so we're here. If you enjoy it, help us out. We're on TikTok, and again, I always talk about Josh's dances. Lots of fun. And then
I want to see that
Inside My... See, she's going to check because of the dances. And then NA the Band, they got Inside My Head's for free album online. Download those guys. Michelle Allen is our local Cry-Like realtor. If you're buying, selling, renting, leasing real estate, she'd be glad to help you out. So give her a holler. All her information is right there. Mason's High Octane Martial Arts has been located in Covington for 30 years, and we do have a Millington location now. Just visit masonsmartialarts.com. We have 30-year specials going on, and we'll teach you how to kick and punch. Jam Books and Records is going to open soon on the Covington Square. We are taking donations of books and records. We're going to have new books and records also, and sometimes we will buy collections. So just give me a holler if you're interested in that. And then Masonite Digital Marketing. Josh will help you with social media planning, email, website design, whatever you're doing, drones, commercials. Just visit masonitemarketing.com. And we will see you again on another Law Talk, hopefully every Tuesday. I hope you guys have a good week. Keep kicking. Thanks for watching, guys. Just remember that this is not legal advice or investment advice or business advice. This is for fun and entertainment purposes only.